Scott Golden here with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel and the Wrestling Challenge run here. This is the 21st of March edition of Pro Wrestling Logic and the Wrestling Challenge review for 1993. The Nasty Boys returning as babyfaces here. Pretty big deal at the time, as the idea of the Nasty Boys in that role, pretty big deal. The Nasty Boys are, of course, coming off of being managed by Jimmy Hart, and that's a pretty big deal for them. Punches, kicks, basic things around the horn as it relates to their offensive assault. Not exactly a match that has to be seen by any stretch of the imagination, but continuing to kind of roll through. Also on this show, Ray Rougeau conducts a podium interview with Bret Hart discussing his match with Yokozuna at WrestleMania 9. Hart saying that he has respect for Yoko. Yoko, however, doesn't have respect for him. Includes a special report segment showing Yokozuna attacking his opponent after match last week on Superstars. Also includes WrestleMania 9 report where it's announced that Kamala would face Bam Bam Bigelow in a match that I don't ever believe happens. Nasty Boys defeating Ed Moretti and the intern 236. Jerry Sags pins the intern following the running power slam flying elbow smash combo. It's also mentioned during the bout that the Nasties were in line for a tag team title shot against Ted DiBiase and IRS at WrestleMania, but stepped aside for Hulk Hogan and Brutus Beefcake. Isn't that altruistic of them, or just political? Anyway, basic match for the Nasty Boys, as it were. The as aforementioned special report where Yokozuna gets nailed for attacking his opponent longer than he should is here. Also, Damien Demento and Joey Maggs is up soon hereafter, and Maggs, who at the time, 93 through 96 or so, pretty regular enhancement talent, actually appearing on both the WWF and WCW shows upon occasion during the early to mid 90s, back when enhancement matches are still a thing. Does pretty well. Also, there is a continuation of Damien Demento kind of talking to himself, kind of getting under the skin of fans by doing the talking to yourself gimmick. Maggs manages to get a couple of arm locks, arm bars, and the like. Nothing major, but Demento certainly pointing at the sky and hits a knee drop and gets a victory there. We move to another enhancement match. The Head Shrinkers, Samu and Fatu, along with Afa. Afa eating a big chicken bone at the time, insinuating a raw chicken, which obviously now would never get on television with all the knowledge we have of parasites and that. But anyway, Head Shrinkers defeat Jesse Storm and Mark Ming. 220. Fatu pins Ming after a splash off the top, and during the bout, Rick and Scott Steiner cut an insert promo on the Head Shrinkers and their WrestleMania match. Punch, kick, back kick, and some slams, headbutts, and the top rope splash from the Head Shrinkers, who are brought in originally. Yokozuna was talked about in being a head shrinker. That doesn't come together, though, nearly quite this far. Owen Hart defeats Bobby Young, 244, with a crossbody off the top rope. After the bout, Giant Gonzalez and Harvey Wolfman come to ringside. Wolfman claims that Gonzalez is scheduled to face 10 to 30 opponents right now, but they all have left the building. This is obviously ridiculous. Gonzalez then said he'd bury The Undertaker at WrestleMania. They're really putting Gonzalez over as a major force. The Owen Hart match is a basic enhancement match by every stretch of the imagination, but Owen, even at this time, really showing that he has all of the necessary tools to be a major force in the run of the promotion, and even though he hasn't been given the role yet and wouldn't for a little while. Razor Ramon talking about facing off against Mr. Perfect and his adversaries Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect at the upcoming Madison Square Garden on that particular night, the night of this airing. Also, Doink promising, or the Macho Man promising to get rid of Doink pretty aggressively here. Owen Hart gets, as mentioned, kind of some drop kicks and basic maneuvers, belly to belly suplex, and is pretty aggressive during his time. The Undertaker promises to leave Giant Gonzalez resting in peace at WrestleMania 9. I think everyone was resting when the match was over. Hulk Hogan and Brutus Beefcake talking about wanting to finally settle things up with Money Incorporated and avenge what happened to Beefcake a couple weeks earlier on Raw. And then Crush talking about his father being a clown. I don't know what truth there is to that, but that Doink certainly is an evil clown for completely different reasons anyway. And so Lex Luger is out here next. Luger is going into an enhancement match, full-length mirror. I actually like this version. Luger, punch, kick, basic maneuvers, big clothesline out of the corner on the enhancement talent. And Luger is in pretty good shape, metaphorically, going into his match with Mr. Perfect. Reno Riggins is Luger's opponent, defeating him in 2 minutes 8 seconds. And pins him with his pinky, following the running forearm after the bout. Reno Riggins is thrown to the floor and held in front of the full-length mirror and throwing him away. And then again, one last bit of tension in the main event for the Garden on that night with Razor and Luger facing off against Hart and Hennig. The idea there being that can Hart and Hennig get along, being that they'd had their matches before. In any event, we will close with that. On that note, we'll be back with more right after this.